How do you truly validate someone? Now, validation is something that is important to our core. We all have what's called human needs, and one of our needs, and this is universal between every single gender, between every single ethnicity, between every single age, we all need to be heard. We all need to be understood. We all need to feel like someone gets us, and we need to feel like we belong. And so learning how to give that experience to someone is an amazingly important skill. Now, as a coach, I use this with my clients, but it's also a life skill that we can use in any relationship, any position of leadership, really any situation where you want to give the gift of helping someone feel heard and helping someone feel understood. And we can do that through the power of validation. First of all, let's start with what is not validation. Say, for example, let's use the scenario of we have a person and they say, you know what, I'm having a little bit of a tough day. And what is going to help this person is to validate their experience. Now, what's not validation is to say, I'm having a tough day too. Now, a lot of people think that that's useful, but what it does is it just kind of says, well, sure, you've got a problem, but I've got a problem. And then it becomes two people competing who's got the worst problem. Neither of them are feeling heard. Neither of them are feeling validated. Another version of what's not validation, giving advice straight away. Now, as a guy, I know this pretty well because as a generalization, most men are pretty good at giving advice and pretty good at fixing things. And so say, for example, you have someone who says, I'm having a rough day. Well, why don't you change the way you think about it? Now, that might be helpful, but maybe the person wants validation first. Maybe they want to be heard. Maybe they just want to be understood. They want to be appreciated. They want someone else to understand what they're going through. They want someone to say to them, I get you, I hear your experience. And they go, thank you, I feel heard, I feel validated. Another example of what not to do is simply just to say anything that makes it about yourself. One of the codes to validation is to allow yourself as the person who's giving the validation, to allow you to be kind of put back in the background a little bit and instead energetically make it all about the person that you've got in front of you. So for example, someone says, I'm having a tough day. You could say, I'm really sorry about that. That sucks. That's a nice validation. Or you could say, tell me more. That's another nice validation. You could say, would you like me to ask you some questions? Can I help you with that? Or you could say, will you please share with me a little bit about what's going on inside your day? I would love to understand it. And give them the opportunity to be able to share what's going on inside their world. Now that's the first step, is essentially don't interrupt, don't make it about you, make it all about them. The second most important part of validation is to validate the emotional experience that the person is having. Instead of leaving that and going straight to solution of what they could do differently, how maybe you have solved this problem in the past. Instead, validate the human emotional experience that they're having. Say, for example, they tell you a little bit more about their day. And they say, well, I've got this project going on at work and I'm finding it a little bit stressful. I'm also finding it challenging to make time for the things that really matter inside my life. This is a version of a validation. Well, I'm sorry to hear that you've got so much stress going on inside your life. It sounds really challenging what you're facing right now. It also sounds like you're doing the best that you can with the tools that you've got. And I also want to acknowledge you or validate you for having goals and having aspirations and wanting to do your best. You might think, wow, that was a lot. You could even just take 5% of that, 10% of that, and start to practice validating people inside your life for the experience that they're having. Now, there's another code to this that matters a lot. Give the things in life that you want to receive. Feels nice to be validated. It feels nice to be heard. You might not have this inside your life right now. When I first learned about this and decided to become a coach, I had never had this. I didn't know what it felt like. And so I started giving it to people and it feels good to give it. It's like when you give this to someone, you kind of receive it a little bit as well. Give the things that you want to receive.